Welcome to Module 8 of Website Design and Development course. So in this module, we are going to look at the do's and don'ts in website design and development. So having covered foundational concepts, front-end and back-end technologies and database integration, this module, Module 8, turns to the critical distinction between practices that produces effective, secure, high-performing websites and those that lead to user frustration, security breaches, and legal reliability. So website design and development is not merely about making pages look attractive, okay? It requires disciplined adherence to usability principles, optimization techniques, security safeguards, and even ethical standards. So in this module, learners will study best practices in website design and user experience, common design mistakes to avoid, performance optimization, talking about the do's and don'ts, security practices and common vulnerabilities. Then we'll also look at ethical and legal considerations. Now, effective websites require disciplined adherence to usability, security, and ethics. So, minor mistakes, for instance, can drive away users, damage their reputation, and expose their data. That's why this module will cover critical distinction between practices that succeed and those that fail. Topics you will come across include UX best practices, common mistakes, performance, security, and ethics. So when you apply these do's and avoid the don'ts, you will build trustworthy, high-performing websites. Okay. So let's talk about the best practices in it. Now, effective website design prioritizes the needs and behavior of users. So following established best practices ensure that visitors can navigate, understand, and even interact with your site effectively. Now, the first is responsive and mobile first design. Responsive and mobile first design. This is a do, okay? So with over half of global web traffic originating from mobile devices, designing for smaller screens first, that is mobile first, okay? Then progressively enhancing it for larger screen is now the standard. So use flexible grid layouts, the one that can change, then the relative units, then rather than fixed pixels. And the CSS media queries, use it to adapt layouts. Test on actual devices or browser emulators. So do use maps with 100% on images and containers. But don't assume desktop layout works on mobile. Avoid horizontal scrolling, okay? So your focus should be mobile first, small screens first. Then after that, you can move to bigger or larger screen. Then do not assume desktop layouts can also work on mobile, okay? So then place primary menu in predictable locations, either top or left. Most of the websites we see, we either find it in the top or at the left region. So limit top level menu items to 5 to 7. Don't make that place clumsy. Summarize it into 5 points or so. Then indicate the current page. All right. Highlight active item. Also include a search bar and breadcrumbs for large size. But don't use obscure icons without tooltips. Do not also rely only on hidden hamburger menus that users might miss. Okay? So do not do that. Then users should never guess where to find information. You should simplify the website in such a way that when users come across it, they should never guess where to find information. It should be learner centered and learner friendly. Okay? So provide alternative text for images. Ensure sufficient color contrast for normal text. Okay, there should not be colorized. Okay, support keyboard navigation, include tab, enter, escape. Okay, then use semantic HTML button for actions and the one for link. So test with screen readers like voiceover and even keyboard only. But do not rely on color to convey information. Be consistent. Use consistent styling for buttons, forms, and links across all pages. Follow established conventions. For instance, the logo links to home page. Okay. Then create a design system or component library. Then do aim for load times under 2 to 3 seconds. The site should not be one that will take 5 to 10 minutes to load. Then optimize images, minify CSS, GSS, leverage caching. Okay, so always provide feedback for slow operations like skeleton screens, loading spinners, because this accessibility is both an ethical obligation and a legal standard in many countries. You shouldn't design a website that will take a very long time to load. Okay, so then avoid cluttered interface. Adding every feature request without prioritization is bad. That's one of the mistakes so many persons do. Then, but use progressive disclosure. Okay, you can show advanced options only when requested. Then, poor readability and typography, you have to avoid it. Don't use small font, low contrast, decorative fonts for body text. Avoid them. Okay, then avoid gray text on light gray backgrounds. Then set body font size to at least 16 pixels line. Okay, so the spacing can be to 1.5, and that's important. But do not autoplay high resolution videos with sound. You see that? Avoid lazy loading. Okay, avoid lazy loading. Now, do not change search box location on different page. Don't change it. Okay, put it in a strategic location. Then regularly test all links. Use descriptive text, not click here. Okay, ignoring mobile users. Desktop only design forces pinch, zoom, horizontal scroll. You see that? So do not just despise. We have seen that first, mobile first before you move to bigger screen. Okay, so use persistent labels above fields, real-time validation, group-related inputs. Okay, do not reset entire form on a single validation error. Okay, so please take note of all these common design mistakes and avoid them. All right, so instead of newsletter pop-up within 5 seconds of page load, you can use exit intent pop-ups or small non-intrusive banners. No clear call to action. Users leave without knowing what to do. Instead of that, you can use prominent action-oriented buttons with constructing colors. So do not avoid this common design mistake so that your website can be user-centered. Okay, your website can be user-centered. Now let's talk about the do's in performance optimization. Okay, let's talk about that. Now, do's. First, optimize images. You have to compress images. Okay, then minify and bundle resources. Then leverage browser caching. Use a content delivery network, that's CDN. Then load images and iframes only when they enter the viewport. Okay, that is implement lazy loading. Then reduce server response time. This is important. Then asynchronous loading for JS. Use differ or async attributes to prevent render blocking scripts. Then monitor performance regularly. Always monitor the performance of the site regularly. Now let's look at the don'ts. Okay, do not render block with large CSS or JavaScript. Do not do that. Okay, then do not neglect compression. Do not. Then do not hot link external sources without fallback. Third-party forms, scripts, or APIs, can fail or slow you down. So provide fallbacks and use pre-connect for known origins. Then do not use oversized DOM trees. A DOM with thousands of nodes consumes memory and slows down layout recalculations. Then do not ignore unused codes. You should ensure to remove unused CSS and JavaScript. Tools like Port CSS or Chrome DevTools coverage tab help to identify waste. Then do not assume fast internet. You can see it. Simulate slow 3G in testing to ensure your site remains usable. Time out settings. Retry logic. If you build your website for only 4G or 5G, that means it's only few persons that can use it. So to ensure performance optimization, these are don'ts you need to avoid. Now let's look at security practices, common vulnerabilities. Okay, let's look at that. Very important. Now, first is cross-site scripting, then SQL injection, broken authentication, sensitive data exposure, cross-site request forgery. Then on security, keep everything updated. Regularly patch your CMS. Okay, then use HTTPS everywhere. So obtain a certificate. Let's Encrypt is free. Okay, you can obtain it and redirect all HTTP traffic to HTTPS. That's important. Then hash and sort password. Use algorithms like bcrypt, Argon 2ID. So never store plain text password. Okay, then also implement rate limiting. It prevent brute force attacks to on login forms. Okay, and API and endpoints. Now validate input on both client and server and regularly do security audits. Then always backup. But the don'ts on security include: do not trust user input. You see that? Then don't expose internal error details in production. Don't also use unsupported or abandoned libraries. They don't log sensitive information. Avoid logging passwords, payment card numbers or section token. Then do not ignore sub-resource integrity, that is SRI. When loading external scripts, always use SRI to prevent tampering. Okay? And let's look at the ethical and legal consideration. Look at privacy and data protection. Now, only collect data that is strictly necessary for the service. Do not just collect any kind of data. Okay? Avoid collecting sensitive data like health, finance without explicit informed consent, okay, of the source. You have to receive that consent. It's important. Then you have to be transparent. Post a clear privacy policy explaining what data is collected, how it is collected, with whom it is shared, and how users can exercise their right. Okay, and always comply with regulations depending on your audience. For instance, you may need to follow GDPR when you are in Europe, CCPA when you're in California, or NDPR when you are in Nigeria, or other laws. So other requirements include obtaining a consent for non-essential cookies. Okay, providing ways to access, correct, or delete personal data, then reporting breaches within 72 hours. This is very important. Okay, you have to also include cookie consent. Okay, that is important. Then for intellectual property and licensing, always respect copyright. Do not use images, fonts, or code without proper license. Use royalty free sources or purchase license. Provide attribution where required. Then you can also go for open source licenses. All right, or you can also contracts should clearly define who owns the final website. code, asset, and content. For developers, retain the right to showcase work in portfolios unless agreed otherwise. You can see that. Then, accessibility is an ethical obligation. If you exclude users with disabilities, this is this is not only illegal in some jurisdictions but also unethical. So build accessibility into your workflow from the start rather than as an afterthought. Okay, so that is it about it. So in this module, eh, we have learned the do's and don'ts of website design and development across different areas. So we began with best practices in user experience. Okay, we'll talk about responsive design, intuitive navigation, visual hierarchy, accessibility and consistency, and fast load times. This is to create sites that users love. We then examine common design mistakes to avoid: cluttered interfaces, poor readability, slow hero media, broken navigation, ignoring mobile users, overusing modals, vague CTAs, and inconsistent forms. So, ensure you build websites that are fast, build websites that are secure, accessible, and respectful of users. Thank you. So, there are questions and discussions you need to reflect on. For instance, one is, why is mobile first responsible design considered a best practice rather than optional? We'll talk about mobile first. Why is that mobile first responsive design considered best practice? Two, what is most dangerous vulnerability for a website that accepts user input? Don't say you should not accept user input. So, what is the most dangerous vulnerability of that website? They talk about why are dark patterns both unethical and illegal in many jurisdictions. All right. Then, four, how can you test a website's accessibility without specialized equipment? So these are questions for discussion, okay, and reflection. Thank you.